Welcome. In this video, let's build a real-time currency converter using Python. This project will allow you to convert currencies using real-time exchange rates fetched from an API. It's a practical application that combines web requests, data processing, and a simple user interface. Here are the steps that we will be following. First, set up a Python environment with necessary libraries, fetch real-time exchange rates using an API, and build a simple command line interface to input currencies and amounts, and finally display the converted amount in the desired currency. Now, first thing that we need is we need an environment. So let's here clear. Let me make sure that I'm gonna increase the size, and I have already created the currency converter here, so that file should be there on my desktop. Now, first thing I want to create is the environment. For that, I'm going to say python-m virtual environment, and this one I will call it currency converter. Now, once I've created that, I'm going to say source currency converter /bin. I'm activating it, so that environment is activated. Now, first thing that I need to do inside this is install something called as request. That's the library that we'll use to make requests. So I'll call it pip install request. So that's been installed. I'm going to clear this out. Now, second step was that we have the Python environment with all the libraries. Let's get the API. So for API, I'm using ExchangeRate-API. They have a free API available, and I've already created one here. And this is, you can see an example here. It kind of works, and my API key is what I need. So as soon as you sign up here, you'll get an email, and when you click on that email, it will directly take you to this particular page, and you'll get an API with bunch of requests available there. For me, I see here 1500 is my API quota, which is more than enough for this particular project. You should create your own. Don't use mine because it might not work by the time you see this video. So next step, let's go back here, and first thing I'll do is import that request library that we created. Next thing is, let's get the API key equal to here. Enter your API key that you have. I'm gonna just copy this and add it here, and then I need the base URL for the API. URL equal to f of, and I can just copy it from here. Copy and then paste it here. v6 API v6, and inside, instead of this, since I created the API key here, I'll just say API and latest. I don't have to provide USD because that will give me USD conversion, so I just want all of them. So that's what I'll do here. Next, if you want to know more about the API documentation, you can look at the documentation for that over there. So first step is to get fetch the real-time exchange rates. So I'm going to create the function get exchange rate, and it will take two parameters. Let's call it base currency. So let's say if I want to convert from USD to euros, and what is my target currency. So this is what I'll take as input for this particular function. And so here I'm going to say URL equal to base URL and plus, now I'll give the base currency. So if you saw, I had USD, which gave me USD conversion. So now, depending on whatever you prefer or your user prefers, you can enter that. Response equal to, so I'm going to say request dot get URL. So it will call that URL and get this kind of data back. So that's good. And next, we're going to check if, so let's see if the response that we got has a status code, because what if you have an issue with the API call or something went wrong. If it's 200, if your API expired or API doesn't work or some service is down, but if it works fine, I'm going to say data equal to response dot JSON. So I'm going to get all the data inside this data object, data variable, and then I'll say exchange rate equal to data. Inside that, I want to get the conversion rates. If you look at that particular, I have the conversion rates object here. For USD it was 1, but depending on whatever I send here based on user selection, it will say that is 1 and give me the rest of the options, conversion rates. And then I want to look at based on not the current one but target currency. Once I have that, I am going to return that exchange rate back. If there was an error, then I'll say else, and I say error fetching exchange rates, because there was some error with the API, and I'll just say return none in that case. Next thing I want to do is the conversion logic. So for that, I'm gonna say create a function called as convert currency. I will take the amount that user enters, I will take the base currency, and I will take target currency as parameters for this particular function. First thing I'll do is exchange rate equal to get exchange rate. I'm going to call that function from above, base currency and target currency. So this will give me the exchange rate. Now I'm going to check if exchange rate is not none, because what if there was an error here, then it's none. So I'm going to say in that case, if not none, that means everything worked fine, and I'm going to say converted amount equal to amount times whatever exchange rate value I got. So, and then I will return that to whoever requested this converted amount. I'll return that back to whoever requested that. Else I will say return none again. So finally, now that we have, so let's say I want to know what is the like, let's say if $100 is how many euros. So I'm going to pass 100, base is USD and euro is that, and that will call this one and get the exchange rate for that, and depending on the exchange rate it will convert the amount and give me the amount back. So it will say 100 USD is around 90 or 80 something euros. So perfect. Now finally we have to make the user interface. So to make the user interface, I'm going to call a function. I'll call it main, no attributes, and I am going to say print. We can give some nice message to the user. Welcome to the real time currency converter. Then I'll say base currency. I'm going to take this from user as an input. I'm going to say input, please enter or enter base currency. If you want to give them some example, you can just say example is USD, so they know what we are expecting here. And inside this input, I'm going to just change that to uppercase, because my API might need that in uppercase. Same thing I'll do for target currency. I'm going to say target currency, input the target currency. Example, let's say in this case we want to do euros. I mean, they can enter whatever they want, the user can enter, but I'm just saying that. And then I want amount, and amount they might enter in decimal, so I'm going to do float input, and in here I'm going to have f, because I'm going to add some parameters to the amount in and whatever the base currency they have entered. So I'll take this, say if this is USD or euro or whatever they enter, I want to display that to the user. So once that is done, I have my amount that they want to convert. Now I will call, let's move it up so you can see it clearly. Now I'm call the function I'm going to say converted amount equal to convert currency function, pass the amount, base currency, and target currency. So that's what we will pass now to display to the user. First, let's check if converted amount is not none, because if any of those issues caused, I don't want to do anything. So in that, but if I get some value, I'm going to say print f amount. So whatever amount they entered in the base currency is equal to, so if it's 10 USDs, I'm going to say show me that in converted amount. Now this might be float, so I'm going to say 0.2f and target currency. So that should work. Let me make sure everything is good, looks good. And then if there is a none, which is there was some error in one of the functions, I can say print failed to convert currency. Perfect. So that should take care. Now let's call the main function. Here I'm going to say if underscore underscore name underscore equal to underscore underscore main scope, then I want to call the main function. Perfect. So this will initiate my main function. So now let's go ahead and run the script. Go to my Python currency converter.py, and it says line 51. Oh, forgot a colon here. And now it's asking me a question, enter base currency, and I'm going to say my base currency is, let's say, USD. I'll use INR, Indian rupee. Enter the amount. I'm going to say how much is 100 USD in INR. It's going to call the function and it's going to say 100 USD is 8,393 Indian rupees, which means 1 USD is $83 right now. I can run it again. Let's use USD and euro this time. So how much is 100 USD in euros? And it's going to say 100 USD is 89.51 euros. Perfect. So this is your currency converter application. If you have any questions or had any issues while building this, let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thank you.